Hello everyone! Today we are going to talk about a very important topic in communications: SIP, IMS, how they relate to each other and how they relate to PortaSwitch. By the end of this video you will understand all the fundamentals of communication, voice services including IMS, VoLTE, SIP and PortaSwitch. We'll discuss the basics and evolution of these voice technologies and reveal how VoIP changed to become Voice over LTE or VoLTE as we know it today. And you will also learn where PortaSwitch stands within all these different abbreviations. So what is SIP? SIP, or Session Initiation Protocol, is used to establish voice and video calls. This protocol is text-based, very similar to HTTP, and follows request-response model. The SIP protocol was first invented in 1996, and the version which we know today first appeared in 2002. That was then SIP became a mature technology for establishing voice calls over the IP protocol, and today it is a current standard. So now let's look at what's happening when there is an actual call going on using the SIP, Session Initiation Protocol. Let's say that the call is between two people, Alice and Boris. You can see from the diagram that there are two phones or two user agents. One for Alice, another one for Boris. And you can see a SIP server in the middle, which is called back-to-back user agent. And then you will see that there is a bunch of messages going back and forth, like invite, ringing, bye, and so on. Those messages on a diagram are typical for this SIP protocol. Invite is needed to initiate a call. Ringing is for starting playing a ringback tone. A message called OK is for connecting or starting media in both directions, and bye message is for disconnecting the call. Okay, that was SIP. Now let's jump a few years into the future and look at IMS. What is IMS? IMS stands for IP Multimedia Subsystem. Now you're asking, what is an IP Multimedia Subsystem? Is it some kind of sound device? No. It is a framework for delivering multimedia services over IP network. IMS was first introduced in 2002 by 3GPP, Third Generation Partnership Project, and it is a standardized protocol in mobile telecommunications. IMS first became standard with 3GPP release number 8 in 2008, and the first commercial deployment of VoLTE, if you remember, it is Voice over LTE, was in 2012. So how are SIP and IMS are related? The SIP protocol, which we discussed in the beginning of this video, became a kind of foundational building block for IMS. The SIP protocol is actually used within the IP multimedia subsystem. Your mobile devices communicate between each other using the SIP Session Initiation Protocol. IMS became the architecture framework for the world of mobile operators right when they were getting sick and tired of 2G and 3G voice. The invention of 4G gave mobile operators a very fast IP network with which they could connect all these handsets. The idea with the IP multimedia subsystem is that since we have a very fast IP network and 4G network is very fast, let's use SIP and deliver voice services over the IP network provided by 4G. So to have all kinds of advantages of IMS, such as VoLTE, you need to be a mobile operator or a mobile subscriber. Let's look now at what is needed for Voice over LTE or VoLTE or IMS network. Let's check IMS and VoLTE building blocks. On the left, we have a mobile phone which supports Voice over LTE. These phones must have a SIP client installed and must be capable of making VoLTE calls. But here is good news. Companies like Apple or Samsung are already making mobile phones that include a SIP VoLTE client into the phone's firmware. After that, you need radio access. In this case, 4G, but it could be a 5G as well. And then the next block is the IMS core. This is something that we didn't have before release of 8 3GPP specs. The IMS core provides certain benefits over the previous 3G and 2G networks. Some are obvious, like 2G voice or very fast call connection, like just less than a second to establish a call. So those benefits mean happy mobile subscribers and happier providers, of course. So now let's look at a comparison between the minimal of an IMS core versus the minimum of a voice core for SIP. IMS or IP multimedia system uses SIP protocol for establishing calls, but even a minimalistic voice core will require multiple SIP servers, such as a SIP server for registrations. You can also see that there is a telephony application server. And this is a so-called minimalistic setup, which requires many more elements, for example, HSS, Home Subscriber Server. I don't want you to overload with all different kinds of details about the mobile core, but as you can see from here, there are many elements that are necessary for IMS. And now, if you look at a basic voice core that is not IMS compliant and not based on any 3GPP specifications, then you can see that a truly minimalistic one requires just a single SIP server. It involves a much smaller setup and it can be even open source. On the other hand, if you are building an IMS core, that is usually means that you already have a mobile infrastructure or mobile core. So IMS core is usually more complex and more expensive to build and to maintain than just a SIP server. Before we wrap up, let's have a quick look at a couple of more elements that you need or want for building a VoLTE network or IMS network. So if you are planning for an IMS network, you will most likely need all these elements representing both mobile core and voice IMS core. But this is the magic behind the communication miracles, and it costs. Now let's look at how PortaOne fits into all of this. PortaOne offers several different products for mobile operators and for communication service providers. Our PortaSwitch platform is used for providing different voice services like residential voice, business voice, or existing data channels such as FTTX, DSL, fixed wireless, and so on. We create and provide apps for mobile phones like PortaPhone for end users to download them from Google or app stores. And our PortaBilling is used for billing and online charging. With PortaSwitch, we help communication service providers and internet telephony service providers, of course, to provide different voice services and value-added services. For instance, Cloud PBX, Cloud Call Center, IoT, and so on. In the voice networks or IMS networks, PortaSwitch could be an SIP endpoint or an application server. With PortaBilling, billing and online charging system, we help mobile operators monetize their services, not just mobile, but any kind of communication, value-added or IoT services. Thank you very much for watching. Please press the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to our channel to see more helpful videos for communication service providers and end users. Thank you.